Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. Today we're diving deep into something really interesting, I think. Something that a lot of people talk about in real estate, but don't always, truly understand. Probate leads. Marcus, you're our resident guru on this, right? Like, where do we even kick off this whole discussion?
Well, Nora, that's an excellent question, an excellent question. Probate leads, they're a gold mine. Really, truly a gold mine if you know how to navigate them. And I mean, the very first step really is understanding how you're even going to access these leads in your particular county, your particular state, right? Are you doing it old school? Are you going to be physically at the courthouse pulling these lists, or are you looking to get into the online court system? Because Nora, that choice, that initial choice, really dictates everything that follows. It's foundational, really.
Oh, wow. So it's not just a one-size-fits-all then. You actually have to figure out the method before you even start looking for the leads themselves. Is that what you're saying, Marcus?
Absolutely, Nora. Absolutely. Each approach, it has its own set of challenges and its own rewards. And you've really gotta be clear on that up front, or else you're just chasing your tail. Chasing your tail, which nobody wants to do in this business, right? So that's where we start, really.
Okay, so figuring out if you're gonna go physical or online, that makes sense. But then what comes next? Is there like some universal rule book or is it a bit more complicated, you know?
No, Nora, it's definitely not universal. Definitely not. That's the next big thing. You've gotta research your state's probate statutes. And what that really does, is it tells you how the probate process works in your specific state. Most of this information, most of this critical information is online, which is good. So go to your state, even your county level websites and dig in. Understand the local probate process. Understand the full flow of probates. Because Nora, get this. Every county can be just a couple of miles from each other, but their policies on how they file probates and how you can access that information it's just night and day, really.
That's wild. So you're saying like even if I'm I don't know, say on the border of two counties, I need to know both sets of rules, right? That sounds like a lot to keep track of, Marcus.
It is. It is a lot, really, it is. And that's why understanding that local nuance is so important for scaling probates. It's very specific for each county. You've just got to know that when you're chasing these leads, Nora.
Okay, so I've done my research. I've figured out my state and county specific processes. Now, what's the actual information I'm looking for? Like, what's the golden ticket here, Marcus?
The golden ticket, Nora, the golden ticket is the probate docket. The probate docket. Don't let that fancy word scare you. It's just an organized master list of all open, pending, and closed probates. And you specifically want to look for the open probates, the most recent ones in your county. The easiest way to get this information is typically by going to your probate court. It's usually at the county courthouse level, and there's often a guy or a gal there who's actually really there to help you out really.
That's really helpful. So just like ask for help, basically. I feel like sometimes people, they're hesitant to just go straight to the source like that, right?
They are. But remember this, Nora. Remember this key distinction. Although probates are public information, every county has a very different privacy policy. They believe they're protecting the interests of the parties involved. And for that very reason, even though it's public, A lot of counties, they'll put up barriers and loopholes to restrict your access to the information. So, understanding the difference between public information and their privacy policy, you've typically got to figure out what your county's privacy policy is when it comes to accessing probate information. And the easiest way to do it, Nora, is you just kill them with kindness. Kill them with kindness. Ask very nicely. Ask the question in different ways. Build rapport with them, just like you would with a motivated seller. They're employees, they're humans, just like you and I. They're the firewall between you and that information. You've really got to build amazing rapport, have great conversations, and they'll eventually, most likely, they'll give you the information.
Okay, so persistence and kindness. Got it. So what exactly does that docket reveal? Like, what am I actually trying to get my hands on, Marcus?
Right, Nora, right. The probate docket, it's going to contain this basic information. Number one, it's got a case number. It's going to have the name of the deceased person, the name of the attorney who's filing the paperwork, and last but not least, probably one of the most important pieces is you're looking for the PR. The PR, which stands for personal representative or executor, depending on your state and county. Once you have the deceased person's name, you now want to take that information and cross-reference it on your local property appraiser site. You're checking to see if they own any real property within that county. Once you have a match, you now have a way to pursue this probate lead. The next thing is you're going to identify the PR, which is the personal representative or executor, and you want to skip trace their information. That's just a fancy way for trying to find their mailing address and their contact phone number. So you can either send them a piece of mail or you can reach out and cold call them to see if there's any interest in selling that property.
So, if I can't find the PR's information, like, what then? Do I just give up on that lead, or is there like another option?
Never give up, Nora. You can use what we call the John Doe approach. The John Doe approach, which I use quite frequently on counties where I just can't access that information. So if you have the deceased person's name and you can cross-reference a property address they own in that county, you can send a letter to that physical property, the one you want to buy, and basically you're going to make it out to the estate of John Doe. Why am I going to send a letter to the estate of someone that's passed away? Why? Because someone is accessing that mailbox, and most likely the PR or the executor is managing that mail. And for that reason, it's kind of a simple way to do it if you can't get the exact information on your PR or the executor of that property. It works, really works.
That's really clever, the John Doe approach. So, once I've made contact or sent the letter, what then? Is it just like a waiting game, or is there a way to speed things up? Do you know?
No, 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 no. It's not just a waiting game. Remember this. Probate it's a sensitive subject. Someone's passed away. People grieve in different stages, take different amounts of time. So you just have to learn to be patient. Really, be patient. But here's the thing. A lot of people don't realize. Most attorneys, they'll tell sellers to wait until the probate process is complete before they can sell the property. That is not accurate, Nora. It's not accurate information, and it's self-serving for most probate lawyers. Like in my state, you can easily buy a property that's in probate before the probate is completely done. I know it sounds crazy, but a lot of lawyers, they tell you you have to wait until the end. Understanding if they wait until the end of the probate process, that property is going to go on the open market, and you'll have no competitive advantage over getting that contract. What I want to do is explain to the seller, I can actually buy your property before the probate is complete. let me show you how to do this. I'm not going to tell them over the phone how to do that. I want to leverage that information to set up an appointment to show them exactly how to do that, Nora.
So, it's about like creating a sense of urgency, right? Not just for you, but for the seller too, knowing they can avoid like all those ongoing costs. But then, how do you actually make sure the deal is solid if the probate isn't finished?
Exactly, Nora, exactly. Once I meet with them, I simply tell them if they're interested in selling the property, we can enter into a contract as long as they are the designated PR or the executor. And if we come to that agreement, that will get you the price you need. It will minimize the expenses on this property, the insurance, the mortgage, the utilities, maintaining the lawn. That money will go to the estate, and you'll get the most bang for your buck, really. And keep in mind, as the market's dropping, the value of the house is dropping. The expenses are going up, Nora. So it's probably in your beneficial interest to get the property sold, to get it sold now.
Okay, so the key is to like cut out the middlemen then. Don't even talk to their lawyer initially. Just go straight to the PR and get a contract, right?
Precisely, Nora, precisely, really, truly precisely. Your job right now, your job is to get a signed contract, a signed, executed contract directly from the PR or the executor. They have the authority to enter into it for the property. They do not need their lawyer's permission. Let me repeat that, Nora. They do not need their lawyer's permission. If you ask the probate lawyer for permission to do this, they are going to block you. They will block you. You've got to be direct, really direct with the contract. Once you do that, Nora, you've actually shielded your deal. You've protected your seller's interest, and the lawyer can only advise from the outside at this point. That's how you create a true win-win situation in probate investing. Really, truly.
Wow, Marcus, that's a whole new level of strategy right there. So it sounds like patience and directness are definitely like key. But what about the actual marketing? Like, how do I find these potential leads effectively?
Right, no, right. Marketing to probates is actually very simple, and it's not expensive. It just very slow. But when you get these deals, they're very profitable. One technique that a lot of people don't talk about is if maybe you don't have the time to go to the courthouse and pull these records, or you can't get online access. One of the strategies you can use is you can go over to listrei.com. They have a filter built in there, what they call pre-probates. It's kind of a shotgun approach. It cross references death certificates to people that own properties within that county. And you'll have a good shot at finding these people, and either just cold calling them, which is the best way to do it, or sending them a piece of mail. And it's not perfect, but it also accesses people that don't qualify for probate, or the properties pulled out of probate. And if you're looking for a simple version, you can use it on thisrei.com. It is a paid version, but it's very efficient if you're a one-person army and you don't have a lot of time. Check that out, Nar.
That's definitely a time saver. So speed is important though, right? Don't waste time on like old probates or anything.
Absolutely, Nar. Absolutely. Do not try to recycle old probates. The most recent ones, they're the best ones to market to. When you connect with them, once you connect with them, and there is some element of motivation for them to sell their property, if it's vacant, they're out of state, have a long conversation with them. The longer you talk to a probate, the better your odds of getting a great deal on it. Use the 80/20 rule. Have them talk 80% of the time,
You ask 20% of quality questions, really, truly. And keep in mind, it's going to take you five to six touches before you even address price. Because once you establish a great rapport with a great conversation, and you find out the property is a perfect fit for you as a wholesaler and a win-win for them, then you understand if you take your time, you will win more often than you lose. Most wholesalers, they try to run people over in probate. You're going to do the opposite, Nora, the opposite.